Hello everyone! In this video we'll cover the history of electronic music. When you think about electronic music, you probably imagine this. Right? What? No? Okay, so we need to talk. Let's see how this became this. Electronic music is a genre of music that uses electronic musical instruments, digital instruments, and other types of electric-based music technology. Okay, that's a pretty concept right there. It also implies that electronic music was somehow developed in the early 20th century because the first electronic music devices were developed in that period. Like this beauty. Or
nobody knows the trouble I've seen.
Now, in this video, we'll talk about some of the most relevant artists that influenced the genre. We'll start with Stockhausen, this very agreeable dude.
Could you tell me what the most beautiful sound or the most interesting sound that you've ever heard is?
No.
And finish with Alok, the type of electronic music we all relate to, dance music. Okay, so Stockhausen composed the first electronic music masterpiece, Gesang der Jungelingen, in 1955. That doesn't sound like dance music at all. If you ask most people, Stockhausen doesn't even sound like music. I like it though. Good for going nuts. Soon, people from all over the world started producing music with electronic tools. Let's check some of the most interesting ones. 4 years after Stockhausen, in 1959, Kid Baltam and Tone Dissevelt released The Fascinating World of Electronic Music. Yeah, if you think about it, nerds have taken over this universe from day one. Okay, so far we have a German fellow and a Dutch duo. Now we'll see our first Americans. More than 10 years later, in 1970, Paul Beaver and Bernard L. Croix developed the None-Such Guide to Electronic Music. Fancy name, right? They're American, that's right. But they still sound like our European folks. Especially Stockhausen. Thing is, those guys were going wild with experimentation. You give kids a new tool, they'll try it as much as possible, right? Yeah, but after a few decades, we start to see musicians implementing those tools to their own cultural references. Can't think of a better example than dub music. This is a style that goes back to around 1975, when a series of Jamaican producers started experimenting with reggae tracks, deconstructing and rebuilding elements, adding electronic effects in what we call a mixing technique. something of utmost importance for all dance music nowadays. Basically, those guys used pieces of tracks in their own way, and the result is amazing. Okay, now we are ready to talk about dance music. The 1980s finally saw the development of electronic music to a very specific genre. Well, sure, we could still talk about Osamu Kitashima, a Japanese fellow who produced electronic percussion elements back in 1974. Or about other Japanese tech folk that developed a whole range of different electronic instruments. We could start over our whole story and analyze how Bob Dylan shocked America when he used an electric guitar for the first time in the mid-1960s. Or how Pink Floyd was heavily criticized in the 1960s and 1970s for their supposed dependence on electronic gear, etc., etc., etc. You can Google it. But let's take a closer look at dance music. That's what you all want to hear, right? Wait, no? Well, that's my take anyways. Throughout the second part of the last century, different gadgets were developed, especially keyboard synthesizers, digital synthesizers, samplers, and drum machines. Eventually, synth pop music, represented by the Pet Shop Boys, for example, evolved to club music. We're talking about house music now. House is a music genre with a repetitive 4-on-the-floor beat and a typical tempo of 120 beats per minute. It was created by DJs, which stands for disc jockeys, and music producers from Chicago's underground club culture in the early mid-1980s. Basically, DJs would gather records and mix tracks together, combining them. House evolved since the 1980s to deeper genres like techno, softer genres like electronica, faster genres like trance, beyond ambient, hardcore, bass music, disco, hip-hop fusion, etc., etc., etc. That system also evolved to the production of electronic music as a genre characterized by the repetition of 4 beats, with intro, verse, chorus, and riser. Producers realized they could mix tracks easily if they all looked alike in their structure. So that's exactly what they started doing. And that's why for some people, electronic music looks all the same. EDM, probably the most popular genre of electronic music, is widely known by the Brazilian DJ and producer Alok. EDM is basically the most recent version of synthpop. It stands for electronic dance music, and it's probably the main reference when we talk about electronic music. Or is it not? If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. Just click on the subscribe button below the video. Also, use the comment box to tell us what you associate with the phrase electronic music. Is it synth pop, trance, EDM, house, maybe something even weirder than Stockhausen? Well, let us know. See you all in a future party.